Hello, thank you for joining us. Today, we will cover information around our return to work programs. If you are already retired or retiring and think you may return to work later, you're in the right place. We're going to cover information regarding the return to work provisions and requirements, the programs currently available, options for suspending and returning to work, and violations and how to avoid them. Additionally, we'll cover information on returning to work for a non-ERB employer or para-employer, independent contractors, ARP and return to work, and of course, go over some considerations. Let's dive into the return to work provisions and requirements. Return to work is the option to return to an ERB covered employer position after retirement while continuing to collect your retirement benefit. This includes any work, whether full or part-time, substitute teaching, or performing duties for an ERB employer as an independent contractor or as an employee of an independent contractor. An ERB employer includes any entity incorporated, formed, or otherwise organized by or subject to the control of an ERB employer, regardless of whether the entity is created for profit or nonprofit purposes. There are specific requirements and a process to follow if you're considering return to work. For all return to work programs, the member must complete the required layout if there is one, submit an application, and be approved by ARB before work can begin. Retirees who fail to satisfy the requirements under the Educational Retirement Act and ERB rules addressing returning to work after retirement will have their pension benefits suspended, and any benefits received during the ineligible return to work period will be required to be paid back. All right, let's discuss each of those programs. ERB currently has 4 programs available for retirees desiring to return to work for an ERB covered employer. Each program has its own provisions and layout requirements. A layout is a period of time, program dependent, that you must not work for any ERB covered employers in any capacity, that is, paid, volunteering, or contractor before returning to work for an ERB covered employer. You may, however, work for a non-ERB covered employer if the non-ERB covered employer is not working under contract for an ERB covered employer. The 4 programs currently available are Return to Work with a 12 consecutive month layout, Return to Work 36 consecutive or non-consecutive months, Return to Work earning less than $15,000 per fiscal year, and Returning to Work working less than 0.25 of the full-time equivalency. Let's go over each program. Return to Work with a 12-month consecutive layout. While this program is currently available, it will sunset on January 1st of 2024. Members who are not already retired and have completed their 12-month consecutive layout, submitted an application for the program, and received approval by close of business on December 31st of 2023 will not be eligible to participate in this program. This program allows retirees to return to work with no full-time equivalency or earning limits. Retirees in this program shall make non-refundable employee contributions to the ERB fund, and the employers will also make employer contributions to the fund. Those already participating in the program will remain grandfathered in until they choose to withdraw from that program. Once a member withdraws from the program following that January 1st, 2024 sunset, they will not be eligible to return to the program. Next is our Return to Work 36 months consecutive or non-consecutive. This program requires a 90-day consecutive layout, and the retiree may work a maximum of 36 consecutive or non-consecutive months. There are no earning limits or full-time equivalency under this program. Retirees in this program shall make non-refundable employee contributions to the ERB fund, and employers will also continue to make the employer contributions for the retirees in this program. We have our Return to Work earning less than $15,000 per fiscal year. This program requires a 90-day consecutive layout period. Contributions are not required by either the employee or the employer, but a member may not earn more than $15,000 per fiscal year. Earning even a penny more will cause your benefit to be suspended, and any benefit payments issued while you are ineligible must be repaid. And finally, we have the return to work working 0.25 full-time equivalency or less. Retirees may return to work at 0.25 full-time equivalency or less. There is not a layout period required for this program. However, an application must be submitted and approved before a member may begin to work again. A member may not work more than 0.25 the full-time equivalency. Time worked for multiple ERB employers will be combined. Working any time over that 0.25 full-time equivalency will cause your benefit to be suspended, and any benefit payments issued while you are ineligible must be repaid. Contributions are not required by either the employee or the employer. This table is just a snapshot of each of our return to work programs and the requirements for each. You can use it as a quick reference guide to help you decide which program may work best for your situation. This can be found on our website under the Retired Members tab. Return to work for non-ERB and NMERB retirees. Any ERB retiree wishing to return to work for a non-ERB employer, that is, any employer not covered by the Educational Retirement Act, may do so without impacting their pension. For example, if a retiree would like to work in a retail seasonal position, they may do so without applying and being approved for a return to work program. The key information here is they cannot be an ERB employer or provide services to ERB employers. We also have the New Mexico Public Employees Retirement Association retirees. They will not earn service credit while they work for an ERB employer. A para retiree should notify ERB employer of their status when they begin employment. However, if they fail to do so, they will have their contributions refunded when they terminate employment with an ERB employer. For more information on para and return to work, please just contact para directly. Independent contractors. ERB retirees and their ERB employers must complete the independent contractor determination application available on the Forms tab of our website and submit it to ERB for review and approval prior to providing services to an ERB employer. Remember that time worked as an independent contractor for an ERB employer does not count towards the layout period required for those return to work programs. If you are retired and considering providing services to an ERB employer through a third-party contractor, such as a temporary staffing company or educational services company, you must submit an independent contractor determination application and be approved by ERB prior to providing services to an ERB employer. The alternative retirement plan and return to work. ERB requirements governing working after retirement for an ERB employer to any of the return to work programs described previously apply to all persons who retire under either the ERB defined benefit plan or the alternative retirement plan. Alternative retirement plan retirees are required to comply with the ERB program requirements for working after retirement. This includes the requirement under the 12-month and 36-month return to work program that ARP retirees are required to make non-refundable contributions to the Educational Retirement Fund, as would be required if the retired participant were a non-retired employee. Let's jump into suspending retirement and returning to work. You always have the option to suspend retirement and return to employment with an ERB covered employer at any time. Suspending retirement and returning to employment is not the same as ERB's return to work programs after retirement. Suspending retirement stops your benefit payments, whereas returning to work in one of the return to work programs, you'll continue to receive your monthly benefit along with an additional payment through an ERB covered employer. During re-employment after suspending your retirement, you will earn more service credit and you might increase your final average salary on which your retirement benefit is calculated when you re-retire. When you decide to retire again, your benefit will be recalculated. And also, in no case will your benefit be less than it was before you retired the first time. Let's discuss those violations and how to avoid them. Returning to work after retirement for an ERB covered employer in any capacity without the proper steps taken will result in violating the return to work program rules. If a violation occurs, a retiree will have their pension benefits suspended and be required to be paid back all the pension benefits received during the period of ineligibility. ERB has no discretion regarding this. The suspension and payback requirements are required by law. To avoid having your benefits suspended and be required to pay back benefits during the ineligibility period, a member must apply by submitting an application for one of the return to work programs and be approved by ERB before return to work can begin. A retiree must also notify the HR and payroll department of their status so they can be properly reported on. There's also the risk of violating your benefit if you work in either the return to work earning less than $15,000 per fiscal year or the return to work working 0.25 full-time equivalency or less. Earning even a penny more in the $15,000 per fiscal year return to work program or working more than the 0.25 full-time equivalency in the 0.25 full-time equivalency or less program will also cause your benefit to be suspended, and any benefit payment issued post-violation will be required to be paid back. It is the member's responsibility to monitor their earnings or hours worked. ERB will send notice when a member comes close to their earning limit, but reporting from the schools is always in arrears, so a member may already be in violation before they are notified. Make sure you are tracking and monitoring your earnings and your hours worked. So let's go ahead and jump into a violation scenario. This is just one small scenario of many that can occur. An ERB retiree decides to work for an ERB covered employer substituting part-time. Over the course of 3 months, the retiree works 2 days each month, totaling 6 days, earning around $900 for the total time they worked. No application for a return to work program was submitted, and therefore no approvals for any of the return to work programs were made. The member is notified after the 3rd month they are in violation. Their pension benefits and retirement have been suspended, and they need to repay the benefits received while in violation. What does that look like as far as costs? Failing to apply for the program costs the member the pension benefit for each month at 3 months. So $2,500 is an average for about 3 months. That's $7,500 that must be repaid to ERB. They have the loss of the benefit in the 4th month after violation occurred while pension benefits were suspended and before the retirement was reinstated. That's another $2,500. They have the potential loss of a benefit in the 5th month while they're reapplying for retirement. That's another $2,500. That total cost brings them to $12,500, and this does not include factors such as the loss of retiree health care authority coverage that must also be reinstated, the potential stress of having your sole source of income suspended, and the time to reinstate the retirement. This violation is not caught immediately, causing that member to lose more than a single month of income. This happens for a multitude of reasons, and understanding how it occurs is important. As previously mentioned, reporting is always in arrears, meaning reports from the employers are not submitted to ERB until the following month. Then the reporting team reviews all information submitted to them by all of our 221 LAUs or employers for both our active and retired members. At this point, the member is already in violation. It also occurs when the member is being reported in the wrong job category by the employer, and the error is caught by our employer reporting team after the violation has occurred. The losses can occur when a retired member in one of the return to work programs violates the provisions of the program. That is the return to work 36 months by working more than the allotted 36 months. The return to work earning less than $15,000 by earning even that penny more. And finally, the return to work working less than 0.25 the full-time equivalency by working more than the time permitted. We do notify members currently enrolled in the return to work programs when they are reaching the threshold. But as mentioned, the reporting is in arrears and they may already be in violation before it's reported on to ERB. It is incredibly important to remember it is the member's responsibility to watch earnings, hours worked, or months worked, depending on which program they are participating in. It is not the responsibility of the employer or the LEU nor ERB. Finally, one other area to consider is the layout periods required for each program. During the layout period, before entering a return to work program, a member must not work nor volunteer in any capacity for any ERB covered employer. If a member violates the layout, this could also result in a suspension of the benefits. So let's talk about some considerations. When deciding to return to work for an ERB covered employer, there are a few things to take into consideration. First, determine your reason for returning to work. Are you feeling a need for a school or an LEU that has requested you? Are you considering it for financial reasons? Have you decided retirement just isn't for you yet? There could be several reasons for returning to work. Determine what that is and what that looks like long term. While the return to work programs are currently available, you also have the option of postponing retirement and continuing employment, or if already retired, suspending your retirement benefits, which in turn could increase your earned service credit and potentially your final average salary used to determine your benefit payment. Of course, for news and announcements or any potential changes to the return to work programs and more, subscribe to our ERB Member Connect newsletter. And above all, just make sure you're registered on your member self-service portal so you have access to your account. For more information, you can always contact us. I've included our email, our phone number, and both of our office locations. I've also included information on contacting New Mexico Retiree Healthcare Authority as well as PARA. And we thank you for your time and hope that you found this information valuable. Of course, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to reach out to us. We prefer you reach out to us before you make any moves to make sure you're doing it the right way. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.